Can depression be prevented? This message goes out to you as a caregiver, to you as a child, to you as a spouse, and to any significant other that has an elderly loved one that they are looking after. Depression can be prevented. And how can it be prevented? If you live in the same house with your elderly mother, father, grandparent, significant other, you can engage in activities that you love. Like let's say if it's your father, in my case, my dad, I normally, do the crossword with him. Dad loves shows on Kameme, so we listen with him. Engage them in activities, listening to the radio, walking, going for, events, meeting with their friends. You can even drive them to their hospital visits. You can run their errands for them. You can be a safe space where when they talk, you listen to understand. You listen to understand, but not to reply. You can also be, your silent, reassuring presence. The fact that, yes, my daughter is in this house somewhere is enough to reassure them they are not alone, because feelings of loneliness easily plague the elderly. So you can take them to hospital, run their errands, encourage them to do activities they love, like, dancing, crosswords, Sudoku, watching movies with them. If you are like a daughter, bring your grandchildren to them. Encourage them to tell them stories of how life was when they were younger. The elders love telling stories of how they used to go to school, walk 10 kilometers, carry ndoma in a kiondo, go for water in the river. Encourage them to talk about those things. It keeps their memory flowing. It keeps, keep the conversation flowing in the home. If you're a caregiver, make sure that the food they eat is well cooked. They are adhering to their diet. Make sure that they take their medications on time. If it's necessary to buy a daily pill box, buy a pill box. Write down the list of medications they take. Fill in the prescriptions when needed. Accompany them to the doctors. Make sure their clothes are clean. Make sure that they look good, so that they don't look, like they are neglected. If your children to the elderly, don't leave your parents alone, because when you do that, you are forgetting that even as you raise your own children, they can leave you alone. So if you're a child to an elderly person, look after your parents, because they looked after you when you were young. And also, if you're a child, engage them. Bring their grandchildren to visit them. Visit them yourself, even if you're not in the company of your children. Go and check on your mom and dad and find out how they are. This is the time your friendship should be strongest, because you don't know how much time you have left. If you are a significant other, walk with your spouse through this journey. Do not leave them because they don't look the way they did when you were getting married when you were young. As a spouse, if you see your elderly person is going down that road, take them to the doctor. Mental health issues are not issues to be ashamed of. We are in an age, we're in an information age, we're in an age where we should not feel ashamed to say that we are down, that we are sad. As a spouse, you said for better or for worse. So when things are good, be there. When things are bad, walk with them. Be a support system. As a friend to an elderly person, don't disappear because you're going through your own issues. Visit your elderly friend. Remember the old days when you used to go to work together, or when you were living in the same village and you didn't wear shoes till Form 1. Remember the past, talk about things, have conversations, visit each other, encourage each other. As an elderly person, do the things you love, and look for ways to engage yourself. And as the clergy, do not ignore the elderly in your congregation. Visit them. Like at home, the Catholic Church normally makes an effort to visit the elderly every other month to administer sacrament to them. So I encourage also churches, if you have the elderly in your congregation, do not leave them out. In our church, we have a group of elderly people called Celebrated and Honored. These are the elderly people above 60, and they normally have events that are tailored for them to just basically celebrate them. There are times even the elderly have led services in our church, which is quite interesting. So even the clergy, do not abandon the elderly. Do not only go to visit them when they have passed on. What conversation are you having with somebody who has passed on? Visit them when they are alive so that you can even have a conversation. There are things elderly people see sitting down that we cannot see even on the top of a tree. So the elderly should not be left out by anyone, whether it's their caregivers, whether it's their children, whether it's the clergy, the general populace at large. Even the government should not leave out the elderly. Provide services, that, suit the elderly, health care that is tailored for them. One thing I like that the government has done is the stipend that they were giving to the vulnerable people for every month, like for them to get something to just keep them going. So the government should also, I encourage the government to do more other than that monthly stipend, to do more to, not leave these guys out. Is depression something that can affect anyone at any age? Yes, it can affect children, it can affect teens, it can affect young adults, it can affect adults, it can affect the elderly. So even as we talk about depression among the elderly, depression is something that can affect anyone at any age.